3 simple but essential tips that can make a huge difference in how you feel as a caregiver. Welcome to Hospice Redefined. This is the podcast where we uncover the true purpose of hospice care and empower caregivers, families, and healthcare professionals with practical tools, compassionate support, and valuable insights. Let's face it, hospice is often misunderstood. It's viewed as an ending or a sign of giving up. But in reality, hospice is about life, living with dignity, comfort, and meaningful connection during one of life's most profound transitions. I'm your host, Rachel Carta, a registered nurse with experience in hospice care, alongside of an incredible team of hospice professionals. We're here to shift the narrative and provide support to the caregivers who are really in the trenches. Whether you're one of those caregivers, a healthcare professional, or someone curious, or even if you're uncertain about hospice, this is the podcast for you. Let's redefine hospice care together, one conversation at a time. Welcome to another episode of the Hospice Redefined podcast. Today, I'm coming to you as your host, and I want to focus on 3 simple but essential tips that can make a huge difference in how you feel as a caregiver. In addition to hospice nursing, I also am a functional nutrition counselor and life coach, and through that avenue, I have really discovered the power of how we take care of ourselves in a very holistic way. And I also personally understand the toll that caregiving takes on you, physically, mentally, and emotionally, and I would add even spiritually. It's not an easy role. I've seen my mother in this role for most of my life. I have disabled siblings, so I saw her caring for them, and then I saw her caring for my dad for many years before his passing. I also see the families of my patients caring for loved ones, and I see the toll it takes. And I would love to share some tips with you that are actionable and simple. Now remember, with what you hear today, you don't have to implement all of these tips in one day. In fact, maybe you'll hear just one little bit of information that you know you can start to add into your day. Of course, there's many things we can do to be healthy, but often it's the simple things that we do consistently that give us the best result. So let's get into this. One of the reasons why I think it's so exhausting to be a caregiver is because you're in this constant giving mode. And what happens is this happens at the expense of your own needs. This can leave us feeling drained and overwhelmed. And this ongoing nature of being drained and overwhelmed can really take a hit on our health. If you've been in this role for a long time, you've probably noticed that your health has declined. But I want you to know that there's so much that we can do. The body was designed to rest. Your body was designed to rest. And it was designed to need a rejuvenation. So this state of constantly giving has your body in a state where it needs to have something come back and something being given to you. I want to remind you again, and I'll say this 1,000 times through this episode and all of the rest of the episodes where we talk about these things, that it's really these small and manageable steps. So the first tip I want to give you is hydration. Now, when we're busy taking care of others, it's easy to forget to take care of ourselves, obviously, right? Because we're giving again. And something as simple as drinking water seems to go by the wayside. And for many of you, you may have already been having a hard time drinking water before you stepped into a caregiving role. And you might be wondering, why on earth does everybody talk about the importance of staying hydrated? To give you the simplest definition, you want to consider your body is 60% water. So what happens is when we're not staying hydrated, every cell of your body is impacted. Hydration is crucial for maintaining energy and focus. Even a mild amount of dehydration can lead to fatigue, irritability, and even confusion. This is the last thing we need when we're in a caregiving role. So keep it simple. One of the best ways to maintain hydration is to always have a water bottle nearby. And for those of you who are visiting a loved one who is a caregiver, you might want to grab them a glass of water when you visit. Just set it down next to them. People are more likely to stay hydrated when it's nearby. Remember, you can have this water bottle at home, wherever you are, running errands. Let this become a part of you. If you have trouble drinking plain water, I've heard this so many times in my role as a functional nutrition counselor and personal trainer before this. You can add a slice of lemon, some cucumber, you can even smash some berries in there, whatever you need to do to make it more enjoyable. I encourage you to sip this water throughout the day rather than waiting until you feel thirsty. Oftentimes, when your body is already feeling thirsty, you're already in that state of dehydration. We want to continually sip on the fluids, and you can imagine every cell of your being accepting this hydration and giving you energy and the ability to focus and the ability for every one of your organs to work more effectively. Remember, it's not about overcomplicating things. It's just about ensuring that you're consistently being hydrated through the day. The next tip, I know this is very tough, but it's to rest as much as possible. And I know how challenging this can feel as a caregiver. You're constantly on the go, you're juggling tasks. Many of these tasks were something that your loved one used to do. You might be learning how to pay bills for the first time. You might be suddenly grocery shopping when you never did that before. You're learning an entirely new role at the same time as physically caring for someone. You're likely losing a lot of sleep doing this. Here's the thing. Finding small pockets of rest is non-negotiable if you want to maintain your energy and your emotional health. Again, I know exactly how hard it is because there's always something to do. I remember hearing my dad calling out to my mom through the night, through the day, so much. She was only able to take naps for the most part and was hardly ever able to get a long stretch of sleep unless one of us was there to help. Here's what I want you to try. See how it would feel to rest in small amounts. You don't even have to take a full-blown nap. Even if you can find a quiet moment, maybe it's sitting down on the couch with your eyes closed for 5 minutes, taking a deep breath. Maybe it's putting your feet up and just taking a small act of rest. If there's a part of you that's feeling guilty about resting, or even feeling guilty for the desire to rest, I want you to remember that it is vital for human health that we rest. Burnout is a real thing. If you're having trouble with your thinking, it could easily be that your body is in need of more rest. If it's possible, you can try to create a consistent resting schedule, and I know that that's not always realistic. But even if there's a few minutes here and there, you may notice that you are more able to carry out your caregiving duties in a way that feels easier on your physical body. If you find that you're on the go and you have a hard time remembering to rest, consider setting an alarm. If you're caring for someone who takes naps, I welcome you to close your eyes when that nap is happening. I know it's the time when people think, well, my loved one is sleeping, so now I need to do all the things to get everything else that I need to do done. I welcome you to consider what is the most important thing that you need to do. See, the human mind thinks that every single thing on the to-do list is of equal priority, but the reality is that's not true. Sometimes cleaning out the basement, while it's taking up space in your mind and it feels really important, doesn't compare to the need for your body to rest. So if you have that to-do list, whether it's in your mind or on paper, I welcome you to take a look at that. Decide what are the most important things that need to be done today. Circle those things, maybe write them on another piece of paper. I recommend only 1 to 3 things per day. That's what is far more realistic. When you're only aiming to do those 1 to 3 priorities, you'll notice that you've created more potential for rest. And again, even only in the small places. Anytime that part of you that is bringing this feeling of guilt about needing to rest, you can take a moment to tune into that part of you and remind that part that I'm just taking a moment to rest so that my body is able to care for my loved one. Okay, Tip number 3. This one is simple but powerful. I invite you to add more fruits and vegetables to what you're eating. If you're caregiving for someone, you may already be not eating in a very consistent manner. You may be eating whatever's quick, whatever's easy. I welcome you to add in more fruits and vegetables. These are nutrient-packed foods, providing vital vitamins and minerals. That way, you can boost your energy, support your immune system, and even improve your mood. When you're constantly on the go, it's tempting to just grab these quick things or these easy things or snacks that are highly processed or high in sugar. But these quick fixes won't give you the lasting energy you need. You don't have to make complicated meals. Keep it simple. You can add a piece of fruit to your breakfast or grab a handful of baby carrots or nuts for a snack. If you're making a sandwich, see if you can add some spinach into your sandwich or some lettuce. You can use frozen veggies. Those are a great option to have on hand. They cook up fast, and you can make a really quick vegetable soup with some frozen veggies and a can of tomatoes. Smoothies are another easy way to pack fruits and veggies in one quick meal. Toss in that handful of spinach. And I want to say a word about that. I had a conversation with a client just this week about spinach, and she thought adding it into a smoothie was gross because it would turn green. I want you to know that you can often not taste it, especially when you add in banana or other fruits to a smoothie. The taste of that spinach, yes, it's going to look green, but the actual taste will be much more like the fruit that you put in. Just wanted to add that in case you were cringing at the idea of a green smoothie. And I also want to add in here that if you're visiting someone who's caregiving, why not bring them a gift basket of some healthy snacks, maybe some fruit, maybe some nuts? When we're really wanting to serve our loved ones and support them, let's think about their nutrition because every cell in your body is in need of vitamins and minerals to perform at optimal capacity. When we add in fruits and vegetables, we give our body a much better chance of operating at its full potential. And let me tell you, if you're in a caregiving role, I don't need to say this. You are already at your capacity. If we can add in something to help boost how you feel, isn't it worth it to shift your mind just a bit? Again, we're not talking about what you shouldn't eat. We're talking about adding in more fruits and veggies. The goal is not to be perfect. It's just to make progress. See if you can start small. Maybe aim for one extra serving of fruits or vegetables each day. Take a moment to consider which fruits or vegetables do you like? See if you can add in some of those. And then notice if you feel different after you do this. You'll be amazed at how a small change like this can help you feel more energy and balanced. I also want to remind you to get fresh air when possible. Even if the sun isn't out or even if it's a rainy day, just taking a few moments outside in that fresh air is so important to reset your body. Even if you can just walk out the door, take a few deep breaths, even several times a day, you can have a great health benefit. But not only does this affect your health, it's also great for our mental health. We need to get that fresh air. So I encourage you to find a few moments each day, even several times a day, to step outside and take a deep breath. Now, I said I was going to give you 3 tips, but I want to add in a bonus tip, which is likely the most important tip of all. Are you ready? Lean in. Ask for help. I know it can feel difficult to admit that you need assistance, especially when you're trying to juggle so much, and maybe you've been doing it on your own for a long time. Reaching out to others doesn't mean you're not capable. It means you're smart enough to know that caregiving is not a solo job. Whether it's asking for a family member to step in for a few hours, reaching out to a friend for emotional support, or maybe getting professional help from your hospice team or an outside agency. Don't be afraid to ask. You deserve support, and it's okay to lean on others. Asking for help can lighten your load and help you maintain the strength and sanity that you need in the long run. I want to emphasize again that these tips don't have to be hard to implement. As a caregiver, you're already doing an incredible job. You're doing something that is so difficult, and you're providing a beautiful service to whoever it is that you're caring for. And I know it doesn't seem like that. And maybe you think you're not doing enough or you're not doing a good job. But I want you to know the fact that you're there in that room next to the person you're caregiving. That is a wonderful, wonderful gift. Hydration, rest, get fresh air when possible, and adding in a little more nutrition into your day and asking for help are all manageable things that can make a huge difference in how you feel. And again, remember, you don't have to do all three of those in one day. Maybe for this week, you just focus on adding in more water. Maybe next week, you try those little pockets of rest. Maybe the following week, when you grab your groceries or if someone brings you groceries, you say, can you throw in a bag of baby carrots or a box of berries or maybe some celery? And just see if you feel a little different when you add in that nutrition. Caregiving is incredibly demanding. Taking care of your body and mind is essential for being able to care for others. Now, in this episode, we only talked about caring for the body. Caring for the mind is a whole different episode, right? I would be remiss if I don't remind you to come to your breath, to take a few pockets of peace where you're just breathing. Maybe you're reading something inspirational, like scripture. Maybe you're able to talk it out to a friend or someone that you trust, reaching out so that you're caring for your mind and your soul as well. You're not meant to do it perfectly. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you for showing up. I'm proud of you for stepping up into this role that is so incredibly demanding. I hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. If you've listened and you know someone who's a caregiver, I want you to forward this to them. If you go to visit them soon, just grab your phone, push play, and help them listen to this. But not just listen. Help them to implement a plan. Maybe you can sit with that loved one for a little while so that they can go take a nap. Maybe you can bring them some groceries of some healthy options. Maybe you can just make sure they have a glass of water sitting next to them every time you visit. Remember, as you support a caregiver, you're ultimately supporting the loved one. This is a trickle-down effect. These caregivers are not meant to do this alone. And any ones that I have seen that are carrying this burden alone, it's a tremendous difficulty. We can gather around. We can do more in little, small ways. Again, thank you again for being here. Remember that you can go to hospiceredefined.com. There you'll find our caregiver self-care checklist. Grab this and it comes as a PDF into your email. You can print that out, put it on your fridge, and it just allows you to remember, how are the ways that I can take care of myself? Again, we're so proud of you for showing up, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Hospice Redefined. We see you, we hear you, and we're so glad that you're a part of this community. Please visit hospiceredefined.com to find our free caregiving guide and to keep updated on all of the latest podcast episodes. If you know someone who's interested in hospice, or maybe they're curious, or maybe there's someone who needs it for their family, please share this episode with them. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the next episode.